For every homestead and settlement carved out of the underhive, there are hundreds of ruined domes, abandoned levels and derelict factorums. These are places of peril, where hivers try not to linger on their way to established settlements, or, if they have any sense at all, never visit in the first place. The underhive of Hive Primus is home to hundreds of settlements and homesteads. Some, like Iron Tree, Raffic's Folly, and the Tangle, are built into the fabric of the hive, their streets hanging over yawning pits or latched onto the side of the primary heat sink. Others, like Dust Falls, Bruner's Dome, or Port Mad Dog, guard gates, tunnels, and bridges leading from one zone or another, their inhabitants growing rich off trade between clans and gangs. A few, most notably Misfortune and Rust Town, are held together by the singular will of a powerful individual, and survive in spite of their location, or the industries of the underhive. Then, there are the Badzones. These are the wastelands between established towns and holes, where old trails and tunnels link one place to another. But there is little in the way of human habitation. Outlaws, muties, and outlanders often call the Badzones home, having been driven out of more civilized society to eke out an existence among the rats and ripperjacks. Raiders, be they human or otherwise, are the least of the horrors the Badzone have to offer, and faulty machinery, shambling horrors, and carnivorous fungi can all kill a hiver as quickly as an outlaw's bullet, if you're lucky. The alternative is life as a plague zombie, or an excruciatingly slow death in the vines of a venom-gorse forest. Among the various Badzones, there are regions with particularly dire reputations. This is quite a feat when you consider the underhive also contains spiders literally the sizes of houses. Perhaps the worst of these is the Ruin, a Badzone that sprawls out along the underhive, roughly midway between Dust Falls and the hive bottom. This no man's land is a haunted waste, filled with every conceivable horror the underhive has to offer. It is also a known hideout of chaos cults and Xenos worshippers, there being some who say that in its depths whole alien armies are being mustered, awaiting the day when they may rise up and tear Hive Primus down. Only the boldest gangs dare to brave the Ruin, often on the promise of creds from the guild or some crime boss. As a known boat hole for outlaws, it also attracts its fair share of bounty hunters, lone killers scouring the Badzone for signs of prey. Most of those who go into the Ruin do not return, and if they do, they come back scarred, missing limbs or having been driven mad by the things they've seen. In addition to outlaws and murderers, not to mention rats the size of cyber mastiffs, the Ruin is filled with the kinds of peril that are only possible when complex artificial environments are subjected to thousands of years of neglect and pollution. Machines and servitors that once faithfully served mankind become hazards, their mindless routines fatal to anyone who gets in their way. After all, a monotask servitor whose only job it is to screw lumens into the ceiling of a dome may seem harmless, unless it decides a ganger looks a lot like a lumen. The failure of these environments and their systems has also given birth to all manner of hostile flora, from carnivorous plants to slump jellies, leading to the popular hive saying, just because it doesn't have a mouth doesn't mean it can't eat you. The ruin is a haven for those individuals deemed unsuitable to live among civilized society, which is really saying something if you've ever visited the latrine pits in Dust Falls, or seen a bar fight in Port Mad Dog end in automatic weapons fire. Gangs of escaped slaves and pit fighters make homes among the ruins, fighting to survive on rat meat and wall scrapings against corrupted servitors and mutant monstrosities. From the edges of the Bad Zone, they raid established settlements, dragging their loot and captives back into the shadows. As bad as rat-skin renegades and muty warbands might be, perhaps the most feared residents of the ruin are the living dead. One of the reasons travelers avoid the ruin like the plague is because of the actual plague, known as the neuron virus, believed to be the remnant of some ancient Dark Age bioweapon, or perhaps the influence of some malign power. It can turn humans and critters alike into brain-dead zombies. The ruin is a well-known nest of the infected, with the occasional herd of the undead shambling out onto the sentry guns of 2 tunnels, or trying to claw its way up the abyss into Dust Falls. All this would be bad enough if they weren't psychers with the power to command those afflicted with the neuron virus and turn them into their own personal army. In the ruin, the dubious honor of being named Lord of the Dead belongs to Karloth Valoy. An off-worlder, Karloth was drawn to Necromunda by the Mercanter Pallidus, and once served the rulers of the Corpse Guild. When his dark psychic gifts were uncovered, he was forced to flee down Hive, where some claim he contracted the Neuron Plague, becoming something altogether more and less than he was. Able to command those touched by the plague and spread it through the Hive, it was only a matter of time before Karloth was declared Underhive Enemy Number 1, despite the fact the Redemption claim to have killed the Necromancer more than once, depending on who you ask. Rumors say he still lives within the ruin, biding his time, plotting his revenge.